Let's be clear from the outset. You've been conditioned to be agreeable, to force a smile when your soul is weeping, to answer when silence would be better, to justify yourself even when no one expects an explanation. You've been trained to always be available, pliable, predictable, like a well-behaved dog. And worst of all, you bought into it completely. But honestly, what has this universal availability given you? Peace? Strength? More likely, it has turned you into an emotional puppet, twitching in response to every gesture, word, or even hint. People see right through you, like an open book. Noticing that you react to the slightest nudge, they start pushing harder. The world is full of virtuosos at pushing buttons, but these buttons only work when they are within reach. And this is where an idea few are capable of understanding comes into play. Becoming unreachable isn't an escape from the world, but a demonstration of self-mastery, absolute self-control, and an overflowing inner strength. It's not about building an impenetrable wall against your feelings. It's about the ability to not react. Every time you give in, you reveal your vulnerabilities. Every time you explode, justify yourself, or rush to explain your actions, you willingly hand your power over to others. Silence is not coldness, it's a calculated tactic. Mystery is not indifference, it's an attractive force. There are people whose presence in a room is felt instantly, even if they don't utter a word. Not because their voice is louder, but because they have mastered the art of being an enigma. They don't pour out their souls to the first person they meet in pursuit of momentary attention. They don't rush to justify themselves, explain their actions, or please others because they've realized a simple truth. The less you reveal, the more interest you spark. People crave what they cannot control. They are drawn to mystery that eludes their grasp, that cannot be swayed by others' opinions. Unreachability is alluring because these individuals don't bend to circumstances. They know the value of freedom and possess the ability to let go. And now we arrive at a crucial point. The ability to let go is not defeat. It is the attainment of freedom. Free yourself from relationships that suffocate, from work that drains your energy, from meaningless obligations that shackle your soul. Release the need to control everything, to always be right, to constantly seek approval. The tighter you cling, the deeper you sink into dependency, and dependency is the grave digger of your strength. You cannot soar above the world if you constantly crave validation, like an addict craves a fix. Forget about excuses. That, too, is liberation. You don't need to explain your actions or beg forgiveness for your decisions. Don't waste energy defending your peace as if it were a fragile vase. Don't try to convince those who have already judged you. Those who crave to judge have already written your story, and facts are irrelevant to them. All they need is an opportunity to point a finger. Don't feed their prejudices. Stand still in silence and allow time to put everything in its place. In this cacophony of shouts and screams, the one who remains silent is the true master. In a world where everyone strives to be in the spotlight, the one who recedes into the shadows gains unshakable strength. Presence isn't about being everywhere. It's about being impossible to ignore when you choose to appear. And you will only achieve this when you stop hysterically reacting to every little thing. When you stop dragging around that burden of emotional baggage, clinging to every tossed word, every careless gesture, every external expectation like a drowning person clutching at a straw. Many mistakenly equate unreachability with icy detachment, but it's not coldness. Rather, it's emotional maturity. A person whose reactions are chaotic dances to the tune of circumstances. The one who deliberately chooses the time and manner of their response is the master of their own destiny. And this is not an escape from the world, but an assertion of independence. Self-control isn't suppressed resentment, it's a conscious choice. The choice not to fall for provocations, to ignore messages unworthy of attention, It's the ability to step back in time so as not to become the villain in someone else's drama. It's wise silence when words are powerless to change anything. For sometimes, the most powerful display of strength is inaction. When you become unreachable, the world around you transforms. Manipulators lose their footing, their tactics no longer work. Those accustomed to venting their anger on you find no response. And those who expected humble pleas are met with your complete absence. In their eyes, there is confusion. In yours, there is calm. And you, immersed in silence and tranquility, confidently continue on your path. There's no need to justify yourself, prove your point, or waste energy on pointless arguments. This peace is priceless. But to achieve this goal, you must undergo a severe test: detachment from attachments. You must stop desperately needing understanding, love, and validation. For as long as you plead for attachment, you remain vulnerable like an open wound. And to be reachable means to be a pawn in someone else's game, a puppet in someone else's hands. The secret lies in boundaries, not the ones that are shouted, discussed, or proclaimed aloud. No, we're talking about boundaries that are felt instinctively, lived by every cell, and strictly adhered to, because you, first and foremost, respect them yourself. And when you live surrounded by these invisible walls, people feel it. Yes, you might lose some companions on this journey, but don't mourn their departure. These aren't losses, but liberations, like shedding shackles. Learning to let go also means learning not to carry others' burdens, not to drag along what doesn't belong to you. You are not a superhero. You cannot save everyone. You are not obligated to be an emotional crutch for those who don't even try to change their own lives. You cannot be the perpetual crying shoulder for those who use you as an emotional dumping ground. Be ruthlessly selective with your energy, for it is not infinite. Every time you squander it on those who don't value you, you seem to shrink yourself to fit into a space where you don't belong. You fade like a candle in the wind, giving your light to those who don't deserve its warmth. Silence shrouded in mystery, serenity, not weakness, but a sign of strength. This is the domain of those who have outgrown the need to shout to be heard, who live not for admiration, but for inner peace. This peace is like a magnet. It allures and captivates those who notice it, sparking a burning desire to possess it. But they don't know that it cannot be bought, imitated, or stolen. It is forged in the crucible of painful decisions, in the letting go of what no longer serves you, in choosing yourself above all else. Remember this the next time someone tries to unbalance you. Your silence is a declaration of strength. A refusal to play the game is already a victory. The absence of excuses is the protection of your energy. Silence is your sharp sword, and self-possession is your reliable shield. And when you become unreachable, not out of fear but by choice, the world begins to see you through entirely different eyes. For he who is not for sale is valued far more. He who doesn't strive to please everyone earns true respect. The one who doesn't respond to provocations controls the conversation without uttering a word, simply like a flick of a blade, and mercilessly so. To be unreachable doesn't mean to disappear. It means to manifest your full power when you choose to. It's not a denial of feelings, but a deep understanding of what is worthy of being felt. It's not indifference, no. It's an awareness of your own priorities. And when this moment of truth arrives, you suddenly realize that the strength was always within you. You just handed it out left and right like loose change. So tell me, will you have the courage to stop being a puppet, twitching to the tune of others' melodies? Will you finally stop letting the world define who you are, or will you, clenching your will, begin to choose what deserves your attention, what can touch your soul, what has the right to define you? This choice, seemingly so insignificant, turns everything upside down. And you make this choice in silence, without fanfare or permission. Becoming unreachable isn't selfishness. It's the highest form of self-love. It's a quiet but firm answer to the world. You won't get access to me just like that, on demand, only if I want it, only if I allow you. And that permission, believe me, is sacred. Guard it like the apple of your eye. Protect it like your most precious treasure. And if someone dares to cross the line uninvited, let them be met only with silence. Not a malicious hiss of hatred, but the noble silence of indifference. Because it no longer hurts you, no longer stings you. And in this lies true victory. Unreachable, not from pride or arrogance, not from icy detachment, but because you have finally gained power over yourself, over your life, and that is priceless. And if you've reached these lines, it means something within you has already begun to stir, to awaken. A quiet, persistent discomfort, a vague feeling that something must, simply must, change. And let this discomfort be your ally, for it signals the end of an era when you were merely a reflection of others' expectations, an eternal seeker of approval, a prisoner of universal understanding. Now is the time to touch upon a subtle but inextricably linked aspect of your transformation, the energy that emanates from you when you finally take the reins of your own life. Believe me, people see far more in you than you think, even when you are silent. It's not just about words, but about how you occupy your space, how you value your time, what confidence you radiate. And there's no mysticism in this. It's pure psychology. Subconsciously, we unerringly sense when a person desperately needs attention, constant validation of their worth. This need acts like a beacon, making you vulnerable to manipulation. Becoming unreachable is also the art of managing your emotions, the ability to set boundaries in communication. It's not about egoistic detachment, but about self-respect. Not everyone deserves to know your innermost thoughts, your plans, your deepest feelings. Selectivity isn't building walls. It's more like raising a shield. It's the art of protecting your inner world. By giving yourself away freely, you risk devaluing yourself, dissolving into the crowd. When everyone feels entitled to enter your life, you cease to be unique. The ability to maintain emotional distance is a sign of maturity. It's the capacity to say no with dignity, without agonizing guilt, to take as much time as necessary without justifying, to enjoy solitude without feeling lonely. For there is a vast chasm between solitude and the feeling of loneliness. Solitude is a conscious choice, while the feeling of loneliness is the chains of emotional dependence. The crucial point is recognizing whom you give your time and energy to. Not everyone deserves the same level of trust. Not everyone is capable of gently handling your fragility. Protecting your inner world isn't building an impregnable fortress. It's an act of self-love and care. And remember, sometimes silence can be louder than any words. When you don't meet others' expectations, don't engage in pointless arguments, respond calmly, or simply remain silent. You radiate a confidence that commands involuntary respect. Many try to unbalance you, craving to see your reaction to feel power, but when you maintain your composure, they lose control. Self-control is a powerful weapon that disarms the opponent. And here's a truth many run from: the mask you created to please others can become your prison. The role you play to fit in, gain approval, avoid conflict, might have once been useful, but if that role no longer reflects your true self, clinging to it only distances you from yourself. Authenticity requires courage, but living far from your true nature comes at a much higher cost. This emotional erosion is quiet but relentless. Shedding this mask and presenting yourself to the world as you truly are is no easy task. Some may distance themselves, perhaps even with judgment, but were those true connections? More likely, relationships built on a false version of you. What remains after? What remains is priceless. People who accept you without embellishment. relationships born from authenticity, from sincerity, and an inner peace independent of others' approval. This inner harmony is palpable. It manifests in your every action, in every word, even in your very presence. And it is this that makes you strong. It is this that gives you a solid foundation that doesn't require imposing yourself on the world. This is why the energy conserved through restraint should be directed inward, towards self-development, personal growth, and creating something meaningful that requires no words. Every time you retreat at the right moment, when you refuse to participate in the useless, you forge your spirit. This becomes noticeable, palpable, and commands respect. Now that you have realized this, now that you have felt it, ask yourself, what are you willing to give up to become that whole, self-assured person who no longer needs to react to every stimulus to taste life? For being unreachable doesn't mean closing your heart. It means opening your eyes. It's not running from the world. It's moving closer to yourself. And this inner harmony, this emotional clarity, is more valuable than any external validation. Now that we've established that unreachability is a manifestation of self-respect, it's time to touch upon an equally important, yet rarely discussed topic: the distinction between self-control and self-suppression. It's not about cowardly silence dictated by fear, and it's not about fleeing confrontations out of faint-heartedness. It's about a wise decision, when to act, when to speak, and most importantly, when to remain silent. Suppression is the poison of fear. Self-control is the fruit of mental clarity. Suppression gnaws from within. Self-possession strengthens. This distinction changes everything. Consider this: silence born of fear breeds resentment. Strategic silence forges strength. And here we enter unexplored yet transformative territory: active patience. Do you know what makes some people so unassailable? They don't rush to respond, correct, retaliate, or explain. They understand that time, if managed correctly, becomes an ally. Active patience isn't inaction, it's cold calculation. It's the realization that haste achieves nothing, for decisions made in a rush rarely stand the test of time. An impulsive person acts today to regret tomorrow. A patient person observes today to act only when truly necessary. This chasm separates those who merely react to circumstances and those who control them. Patience isn't just waiting, it's the art of faith. Faith in yourself, in your path, in your unshakable value that needs no proof. It's the ability to quiet the ego's cry, yearning to speak and to remain silent. It's the capacity to find peace in uncertainty when every cell of your body demands immediate answers. This quiet inner struggle forges our emotional strength. And now let's talk about something that beautifully complements this picture: managing your own value. Yes, you decide what you're worth. And we're not talking about abstract self-esteem, but something far more real: how you manage your time, your feelings, your energy. When someone gets your attention for free, without effort to earn it, you devalue yourself. When someone has unlimited access to you merely through proximity or persistence, you give more than you receive in return. Personal value isn't words, it's actions. It's the boundaries you set. It's what you're willing to tolerate, what you choose to ignore, what you let go of, even if it hurts. Especially when it hurts. And if you look even deeper, you'll discover a subtle but important distinction between presence and availability. Presence is the art of simply being. To enter a room or a conversation, radiating confidence and contributing without needing recognition. It's the ability to exert influence effortlessly. Availability, however, is entirely different. It's the perpetual here and now, the readiness to instantly respond, to give yourself entirely. And here lies the danger. Confusing presence with availability inevitably depletes us. For someone who is always at hand ceases to be valued like a familiar piece of furniture, while conscious presence, by contrast, imprints itself on memory, leaving a vivid mark. It's amusing how many are terrified of going offline, of not being constantly connected, fearing the loss of precious contacts. But they don't realize how this fear turns them into emotional slaves, chained to their gadgets and others' needs. Let me repeat. The fear of loss makes you a prisoner of what you no longer need. Imagine those hunted eyes, nervous hand movements, as if seeking validation in every notification. And here we enter a territory no less valuable: emotional dignity. Dignity is not arrogance, icy detachment, or indifference. It's a deep awareness of your own worth, an understanding of what you truly deserve, and a refusal of anything that doesn't align with it. It's a direct gaze, a calm voice, and confidence in every gesture. It's not a plea for explanations, nor a chase for elusive answers from those deaf to your questions. It's the humble acceptance of the fact not everyone can understand you, and that is perfectly normal, for your mission here isn't to prove your worth, but simply to live, radiating it. Live surrounded by those who see your light without needing proof, who honor your silence, not filling it with assumptions and demands. People who understand that silence isn't punishment, but a message. And those who cannot read it don't deserve to read you further. And now about what hurts but heals. Conscious refusal. Learn to discard everything alien to you, even if it disguises itself as a tempting opportunity, even if it appears in a moment of desperate need. Remember, not all that glitters is right for your path. Sometimes true self-possession is a resolute no to something desired, because deep down you know you deserve more. Here, the concept of unreachability takes on a whole new dimension. It's not just a shield guarding against external intrusions. It's a conscious choice of who to let into your world, driven by a desire for emotional balance, inner peace, and continuous personal growth. Unreachability is, in essence, immunity to past wounds. It's the firm knowledge that your worth doesn't diminish or increase with the presence or absence of other people. It's the acceptance of losing what no longer serves you. It's the ability to calmly observe things that once caused anxiety. It's the skill to feel without flinching what once broke your heart. It's the unwavering choice of yourself, without strain, without fuss, without unnecessary drama. And when you reach this point, something amazing happens. Not only do you change, but the world around you does too. You stop attracting those who seek vulnerability. You no longer entice out of need. You don't enter relationships from a place of pain because your energy no longer cries out for help. Now it is strong, it is stable, it is self-sufficient. And this transforms everything around you. Do you feel it? Then don't stop, for what awaits you beyond the threshold of unreachability is true freedom. And now, when you are sure all layers have been peeled back, the last, most fragile yet strongest appears. The calm of a person who doesn't need external understanding to feel complete. This is the pinnacle of self-possession, not just controlling words, but accepting that your worth doesn't depend on others' understanding. The world craves explanations, labels, clear definitions, but you are not here to be deciphered like an instruction manual. You are here to live, to be an enigma, full of depth, a presence that needs no justification. Listen closely. This isn't arrogance, but depth of soul. You have looked so deeply within yourself that you can no longer be content with superficial connections and empty compliments. You have experienced too much to humble yourself for approval. You have felt too much to pretend to be lighthearted. Therefore, the end of this journey isn't a destination, but a new way of moving. A path where you are no longer pushed because you set the pace. A path where you are no longer pulled because you choose the direction. A path where you don't run seeking attention because you know Important people will see you even in silence. And if doubts plague you, if you feel you sometimes stumble and react more sharply than planned, don't punish yourself. This is an integral part of the journey. Becoming unassailable isn't a sprint, but a marathon. It's daily self-work. It's the ability to fall without losing your bearings. It's the honest admission. Yes, sometimes it's not easy, but despite everything, you choose to move forward. Silence isn't emptiness, it's power. Draw strength from this silence, this unshakable calm. This isn't an end, but the birth of you, a version of yourself that no one can reach.